Welcome to the Daily Deuce. I'm Gary Graves from just outside cold, wet Louisville, Kentucky, pre-Thanksgiving, and in Maryland, where I'm sure the weather is better, at least I hope it is, than it is here. John Webster, how you doing, my longtime friend and esteemed community servant? I've run out of titles for you.
Yeah, I'm doing good, man. Everything's going well. Just so you know, the weather is starting to rain and will rain again tomorrow.
Hmm.
So a little damp. Definitely ain't warm enough for me because even though it's in the 60s, I need it in the 90s.
Yeah,
But
I know. I know. You're crazy like that, but that's why we love you, man, because you're different.
with that being said, another good week in sports. Going to get into it again. You and I are going to talk about the NFC and the NFL, and then we're going to talk about these college football playoff rankings that are getting ready to come out, man. So
Mhm.
NFL, man, we look at it. The New York Giants, they are consistent. They are consistent because they lost again and they lost a double-digit lead again. So they're consistent, and their defensive coordinator was relieved of his job duties.
Yeah, yeah. I heard that, and I now that's all. That's my only question. Now it's a problem. You're
Oh, of
11,
course,
11 games in, and now it's
what
a
are they
problem.
two? What are they 2-10?
Yes, yeah, something like that. Yeah, 2-10. Gosh, there's a team
Yeah,
in the worse than the Commanders in the division. Never thought I would see that right now. But anyway.
and then speaking of the Commanders, they didn't play this weekend.
Hmm.
And in your words, Gary, that's a
That's a
win
win.
they didn't lose. So,
I'm
but
not right. I know that's not right.
but they did have one humdinger of a game on Sunday afternoon with the Eagles and the Cowboys.
Yeah, that's one. Speaking of people out of a job, I guess if you depending on what side of the fence you're on in Philadelphia, it's like Nick Sirianni should be out of a job. Kevin Patullo should be out of a job, or some even think Jalen Hurts should be out of a job. I don't get it, John. I really don't. Here's a team atop the division, if we can talk about the Eagles, because it's like I'm seeing stories now where they're asking whether the Eagles are in trouble, and I'm like, they're 8-3. They're not in trouble. They're winning, they've got a 3-game lead in the division. I don't think they're going to, even though they lost to Dallas in overtime on Sunday, I don't think they're going to blow that division lead. So, what's the problem? What is the problem? Everybody says, excuse me, many people are saying it's Jalen Hurts. I don't get it. I just don't get it. The guy gets wins. He gets the job done. And what do you want? Do you want like a superstar quarterback or somebody that wins games for you? I'm gonna let you answer that one because you kind of know how I feel about it. In fact, I just said it.
Well, the Eagles are having problems again. Um,
But define
there's no
problems. I know what you're thinking. Yeah, we've talked
well,
about that.
here's the first thing I'll say, Gary. No reason why they should have lost to Dallas on Sunday. No
Agreed.
reason why. You're winning 21 nothing and you lose 24-21. You're winning 21 nothing at halftime and then you lose 24-21. That
Hmm.
shouldn't happen.
Hmm.
That's the first thing I'll say. Next thing I'll say is Philadelphia has not, in my opinion, been themselves the whole season. It has always been something. And I don't think Sunday's loss is going to help them. Whether it's AJ Brown not saying nothing but feeling a certain way, that's one of them. I also don't, I do not blame Jalen Hurts. Think he's playing well. That's not where I think the problem lies. I have some concerns with the running game. Saquon Barkley is not running the way he did last year. I'm not blaming Saquon Barkley. I think the line has to work better to get him some more holes to get up and down that field.
Yeah,
So,
especially since teams are accounting for him a lot more this
yeah.
year.
But Gary, I will say this. If Philadelphia somehow loses to the Chicago Bears on Friday, and somehow the Dallas Cowboys defeat the Kansas City Chiefs, would you then say you have a different situation in the NFC East?
No,
Okay.
no. And I'll tell you why. Again, I just think the Eagles will figure it out. Yeah, they have not looked like on in both phases, or I should say two of the three phases of football. The offense has been inconsistent. The defense has just been monstrous. I mean, it's like they haven't really, other than the second half on Sunday and overtime, they haven't missed a beat from from the Super Bowl in terms of being dominant. In fact, in some ways, I think they've looked even better than last year because again, to account for to really win 8 games and account for an offense that hasn't clicked in all phases, running, passing, third down situations, red zone. They've actually done well with that team in terms of giving them field position, in terms of preserving leads, except for Sunday. That was a concern because I think they really took their eye off the ball in that second half. And you can say, well, yeah, they were playing in Dallas. That's no excuse. They've won in Dallas. Yeah, they've won repeatedly in Dallas. So I really, again, the only thing I can just say is that they took their minds took their eye off the ball and they just weren't focused in that second half. And I think that's the thing they can't they can't let up now. I mean, I think even if they lost a 2 game lead with like what 5 to play, and I think you've got what another meeting coming up. They still have what is it, 2 meetings over the final weeks with Washington,
Their
and
their final 5 games: Chicago, the Chargers, the Raiders, Washington Commanders, Buffalo Commanders.
okay. So yeah, so 2 meetings with the Commanders. Do you tell me that the Commanders are capable of winning one of those games? In their current state? John, I mean, I'm going to be realistic about this. My answer is no. So I feel like that's 2 wins there. You don't know what you're going to get from the Chargers. The Raiders, well, next question with the Raiders. So I feel like that's 4 wins right there. You're looking at 12 wins. Do you think
Well,
the Cowboys trailing 3 games with 6 to play, playing on a short week, playing the Kansas City Chiefs, and essentially a primetime game, because that's what it is on Thanksgiving. Do you honestly think that Dallas is going to make up a 3 game lead over that? Even with that, that game was more important for Dallas than it was for Philadelphia. I understand the concerns, but let's be realistic. Philly has won 8 games not playing its best ball. they can't do that going into the postseason because, again, you're tempting fate and somebody could get them in, in that first week. Then, they're not getting a bye. We can pretty much look ahead and predict that. But John, I just don't see this team really gagging away that lead unless it was just either, well, knock on wood, a catastrophic injury, or they just stink the joint out.
Fair statements, Gary, but I see them. I see Chicago as a possible loss
Oh,
at
no,
San
no doubt.
Diego.
Yeah.
At San Diego, because it's at San. Well, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Did I say San Diego? At the Chargers.
Hmm.
I see that as a possibility. Raiders, I agree with you. Commanders, I agree with you. At Buffalo, I think that's a game they could lose. So
Hmm.
I see them possibly losing 3 games down the stretch. You know, I looked at them this year, Gary, and they're just inconsistent. I mean, you look back at it, they beat Dallas the first game of the season. They didn't play really well. Uh, they beat Kansas City. That shouldn't have happened. The Rams game, the Rams had that one. I mean, woulda, shoulda, coulda. That's not good. Denver game they lost. Giants game they lost. Minnesota they won. Green Bay, I think Green Bay played bad. Philadelphia won, but I think Green Bay played very bad. I think the Detroit
Hmm.
game, I think Detroit played very bad. I don't think this Philadelphia team has hit all cylinders. I'm not sure they will hit all cylinders this year. It's typical for a team coming off a Super Bowl win, be Super Bowl champs, to be in a malaise. And I think that's what they're. Wow, I said malaise. Wow, can I even spell malaise? But
Make sure you add the I.
but I just think I've seen crazier things happen. You have seen crazier things happen. So we'll see what happens, man. We will see.
Yeah. Well, I think again the challenge that Philadelphia has faced all year is following up that just really was a dominant run to the Super Bowl, run to the championship last year. Um, Defensively, Saquon Barkley, that combination, Jalen Hurts, just, really just being, solid to strong to sometimes dominant last year. It is hard to duplicate. You've got a lot of chirping allegedly from inside the locker room about the play calling. You've got, some players allegedly chirping about whether they're getting the ball. We've talked about the diva complex many times among wide receivers, and AJ Brown is no exception. But it seems like at times when they need to get him the ball, he's gotten the ball. So like to quote. To quote my girl Marisa Tomei from My Cousin Vinny. So what's your problem? You know, I knew that would get you.
Well,
But Mona
we'll.
Lisa DeVito, wasn't that her name? Her character's
Man,
name?
I can't remember. That was a good
Yeah.
movie, but I can't even remember. I can't even remember, man.
Yeah, I mean, there's some other choice terms she had in that movie, but that can't be, repeated here. But again, if somebody just says, well, the Eagles stink. I mean, my brother-in-law who is a huge Eagles fan. I mean, he he lives and dies with each game. I think. I mean, again, he said basically the same thing. I don't think he's worried on a week-to-week basis. I do think he's concerned in the long run because again it's a different you can't be still trying to find out or trying to feel yourselves out so to speak when you get to the playoffs like last year they were just strong what they did to Washington in the NFC Championship game left me no doubt that they could win the Super Bowl. I just didn't see them winning a Super Bowl and sacking Patrick Mahomes 6 times without one blitz and making him look almost like befuddled coming up to the line, that says a lot about that defense. That defense is still the same. The offense has just they got to get it in gear. And maybe a game like Sunday is what lights that fire underneath them to just say, look, we have got to do something, whether it's give Saquon the ball, maybe try to maybe they have to go up the middle a little bit more. Maybe they have to try to throw across the middle a little bit more because they are predictable on the boundaries. Would you say?
Yeah, I just can't put my hand on it. They're inconsistent. They have some challenges. I just can't put my hand on it. But
Well,
speaking of inconsistent, man, what about Kansas City Chiefs?
John, I know this is hyperbole to say this, and this isn't me. This is what I read on Monday, that they may have saved their season. I don't know. I mean, 6-5, yeah. I feel like 6-5 bought you a reprieve for another week, but you still have to go through the rest of your schedule, and they're not showing that same invincibility. Yeah, they were resilient. In fact, Sunday, I would dare say they were a team that rose to the occasion against a team that's playing better than them and generally playing better than them. Indianapolis, that was a big win. I think Indianapolis went in there and played well enough to win. I mean, they had a lead, but again, they are a team that I'll say sometimes comes in the Arrowhead or whatever they call it, GEHA Stadium, and sometimes just has a deer in the headlights look. I mean, they see that red and gold and white, and it gets in their heads. And I mean, they see number 15 looking across that line too. And I think that's what happened on Sunday. In other words, they kind of played like the Buffalo Bills there in the playoffs. Nothing against the Bills, but you know how those games have ended there.
I'm looking at Kansas City's schedule.
Me
They
too.
finish up with Dallas. They're home to Houston. They're home to the Chargers. They go to Tennessee. They're home to Denver, and then they go to the Raiders. They're sitting at 6-5. I can see
Hmm.
them. I can see them winning five of their last six and ending up 5, 11-6. End up 11-6. I can see that.
Yeah, yeah. Um, Looking at that schedule, let's see. I'm trying to think. What's the one game? The one team that really scares me. Really, yeah, really scares me in terms of what the effects could be for them. Dallas. They can't really look past Dallas. Houston just played. I mean, they were just downright nasty in their win on Sunday. That's a team that really kind of scares me for them because they're starting to they're starting to play better. And again, just posted one of the most ridiculous defensive games I've seen in a while. Um, let's see, the Chargers. I don't know what you're going to get out of the Chargers. I know Coach Kaki is your boy, but. But again, you don't know, and in a sense, they're kind of like Kansas City. They're inconsistent. Denver, Denver is kind of the class of that division right now, and they're gaining more confidence with each week. That's a game that concerns me. Raiders, again, next question. Arizona, probably a W. Seattle, not sure what the.
Wait a
Uh,
minute. They don't have Arizona and Seattle.
Wait a minute. Oh, wait a minute. Hold on. I'm sorry. Something. I'm looking at the wrong schedule. Sorry about that. Sorry. It went to it rolled over into preseason. Sorry about that. Okay. So I'll backtrack from week 18. Raiders. a win. Denver, a loss. Titans, a win. Chargers, toss up. Texans, possible L on that one. Dallas, possible L on that one. So that's the way I kind of see it right now.
All right. So, how do you see the Ravens?
Do you say the Ravens?
The Ravens.
John, that one caught me off guard because because honestly, I didn't really think we'd be talking about the Ravens at this point like that. But again, you make a good point about. I mean, you raise a good point about a team that has put what was it, a 1-4, 1-5 start behind them, and we were all, myself included, saying that that they were done in that division. But of course, the Steelers are they have been Steelering, and you know, yeah, for all my Steeler fan friends out there, you heard what I said. They are Steelering right now. I have one friend who has a nickname for him that I can't repeat here either. But
Family show, Gary.
I'm
Family
sorry.
show.
Yeah, I'm sorry. He's a Browns fan who has another nickname. But the Ravens, okay. I'm not surprised that they've turned it around. I'll be honest with you. Lamar Jackson is not 100%. He's back, but he's not 100%. You can kind of tell that the hamstring and I guess, some other injuries. I guess now he's got a possible turf toe injury or something, or a bruised toe. Um, again, we have reached that point, I think, in his career where the injuries are piling up and well, the hits are piling up and they're resulting in injuries that are taking him a lot longer to heal. The point is he's back. They are a different team with him there. Derrick Henry seems to be a different runner since his early season fumble issues. And they've just kind of made adjustments and played their schedule, I think, very, very well in terms of beating the teams that they're supposed to, and then surprising against teams that they weren't supposed to. That didn't look possible after 6 games. Um, in that division, one thing we did agree on, John, is you that anything is possible because Pittsburgh could again start Pittsburghing again, and that's what they're doing. They don't have we don't know when Aaron Rodgers is coming back. I think they said that there might be a chance that he comes back this week, but yeah, who knows? I mean, again, you're 40 something years old, nursing, I guess, what is it, a wrist injury or such from, from just like one of those hits that you kind of take in football. It's again, it's such a long season, and teams like the Browns and the Bengals have fallen off the pace, so it's a two-team race, and the Ravens seem to be able to get up for the Steelers whenever they need to. I do see this kind of trending toward the Ravens as opposed to the Steelers, and I think that I'll just leave it at that. Only one team I think is coming out of that division for the playoffs, the division winner.
I agree with that. I agree with that. Now let's switch over real quick. Tell us about the college football playoff rankings.
Well, as they stand right now, I mean, that like, well, let's just say that the top four are pretty set. Our discussion has been, John, what teams could get left out in the cold, and you discussed, your Notre Dame Fighting Irish. I tend to disagree with you because I still feel like a team with a school with that kind of schedule that they play every year that I think even with three losses, they could be in the playoffs. Um, the losses that they took, one of them doesn't look so good right now. I think was it Florida State? Oh no, wait a minute. Florida State beat Alabama. I was trying to remember
First game of the season. Yep.
yeah, yeah. Um, but the ACC is going to give them a few more is going to give them a few more wins that they need. I don't think you really have to worry too much about Notre Dame getting in. They'll just have to go on the road most likely. I think you said what they might have to go to Oklahoma. Is that what
Yeah, that's what
you?
it's looking like right now. They go to Oklahoma. Um, Ohio State, Indiana, Texas A&M, Georgia. I don't. Well, I was getting ready to say all four of those will stay the same. But Gary, this Saturday is rivalry week.
Hmm.
Texas A&M is playing Texas. Georgia is playing Georgia Tech. Oregon is playing Washington. Mississippi is playing Mississippi State. Some strange things happen in rivalry week, and we'll see how it works out. Um, the thing that's in my mind that hurts Notre Dame, they are not just people are saying they're the best two loss team. I think they're playing some of the best ball of any team, period, right now. But what hurts them is how they started the season with Miami and Texas A&M. They lost both of those games. Both of them were winnable. The Texas A&M game still looks like, I guess, in people's mindsets, a good loss because they're still undefeated. The loss to Miami doesn't look as good. Miami has lost to Louisville and they lost to SMU. So, but there are some who are supporters of Miami saying, but we still beat Notre Dame. We should be ahead of them. So we'll see how it plays out.
Yeah.
Um, I will tell you on Saturday, I will be rooting for Pitt to beat Miami.
Mhm. I know you will. Um, in the ACC, John, um, I think anything is possible. But I do think it is looking like SMU's conference to lose because, I mean, they just absolutely curb stomped Louisville, which is hurting right now. They've got a number of good wins under their belt. And the stat that I heard during the Louisville game that just blew my mind is that they're the winningest Texas team over the last 6 years with like 62 wins. So John, you can do the math whatever way you want, but that still averages out to 10 wins a year and they're still going. They've already won one conference title. They played in one last year. Probably could get there and win. I think Saturday will determine who they face. I think again, they're in very good position to be in the ACC championship game again. And who's to say that they can't win? That quarterback Jennings is I mean he's just strong. I'm
Mm.
surprised he's not getting some Heisman mention, but we know how that goes. Unless it's Trevor Lawrence or somebody, the ACC just isn't just not going to get that kind of run because they cannibalize themselves, much like the teams after Georgia and Texas A&M are in the SEC. The team that I want to keep an eye on is Texas Tech in terms of moving up in the rankings.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe not necessarily this week, but after this weekend, I think we might get um, a better look at you'll see where whether their numbers or whether their numbers are trending up or down in terms of the top 25. Um, Georgia and Georgia Tech, I think is going to be an interesting game. Not so much for Georgia, but for Georgia Tech, because Georgia Tech just was surprisingly dominated by Pittsburgh. Yeah, they made
Mm-hmm.
it a game, but then they committed turnovers that Pitt converted into points, and Pitt avoided a big collapse there. They seem to have gotten themselves together, but I think in the ACC, it's still about who really faces SMU. But I wouldn't put too much faith in Georgia in a rivalry game like that, as you said.
Well, all good points, Gary. We'll see what happens Saturday, man. Go ahead and take us home, Gary.
Well, hey, how much better does it get in rivalry week? I mean, how much better does it get with college basketball and Thanksgiving tournaments going on? I was glancing at a couple of games today, not really closely because was trying to get prepared for this, but you've got men's and women's basketball over the next few days. You've got what, three games on Thanksgiving Day, another one on Black Friday. It doesn't get much better than that. And then you've got rivalry games from Thursday on. I, for one, am going to be watching the Egg Bowl because I really want to see what Ole Miss does in terms of Lane Kiffin's future. We didn't even get to that, so we can probably speculate on that one after this weekend. So, hey, look, it save your appetite because you got a full buffet of games and a full buffet of sports to look forward to. John, I just hope they come back. We want them to come back and watch us, listen to us talk about it.
Gary, another great week, another great show. Hey, you all, watch some college football, watch some NFL football. The games start on Thursday. Watch some NCAA basketball, men's and women's. Watch some NBA basketball. Watch some NHL hockey. But above all else, just watch some sports. Come back and see us real soon. Take care.